Hey there, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into something specific, a strategic roadmap for the IELTS exam.
That's right. And we know this test, well, it's often a huge hurdle.
Definitely. If it's standing between you and, say, studying abroad or getting that visa or even immigrating.
The pressure's massive. You feel it.
Absolutely.
So our mission today in this deep dive, it isn't really about teaching basic English. That's, a whole other journey.
Right.
We're focusing on the specific strategies, the techniques you need to, well, maximize your score and do it efficiently.
We're getting through the noise, basically. Actionable stuff.
Exactly. We're looking at a guide that really zeroes in on this.
And the core idea we found right at the start was pretty striking. It said IELTS is less about knowing more English and much more about playing by the rules of the test itself.
Yeah, that's the fundamental insight. It's a system, a highly structured game almost.
A game with public rules.
Precisely. If you know the time limits, the question types, the common traps, and what examiners actually look for.
Then you can optimize your performance.
Right. Up to the limit of your current English skills, you can score higher just by mastering the structure.
Okay, so let's dive into that. Establishing that foundation, the strategy, the mindset, right? This idea of knowing the rules.
Yeah.
Lots of people prep for IELTS like it's just another English class, right? Grammar drills, reading.
Yeah, hoping their general level is enough. But the guide is really clear. That's not the starting point.
No.
Success begins with getting deeply familiar with the format, the 4 sections.
Listening, reading, writing, speaking.
Exactly. You need an almost obsessive understanding of how each one works, its specific challenges.
Because they're testing different things under different pressures.
Completely different. Listening demands one kind of focus. Reading demands speed. Misunderstanding just one section's rules can pull your whole score down.
Okay, give us an example. Like, listening, why is that one uniquely tough compared to, say, speaking?
Well, the big challenge in listening is it's relentless focus. You hear the audio just once.
Only once. Seriously.
Just once. No replays, no pausing, so you need this intense mental toughness.
Wow.
For about 30 minutes straight, you're processing different accents, trying to predict answers, writing them down while still listening.
If your mind drifts for even a few seconds.
You've missed it. And often missing one bit means you lose the context for the next few questions. It's pretty brutal on your concentration.
Okay, so listening is focus under pressure. What about reading, then?
Reading shifts the challenge. It's not about hearing once. It's about sheer volume and speed.
Right, you get those long passages.
Usually 3 dense academic-style texts, and you have exactly 60 minutes for all of them, plus 40 questions.
So reading every single word.
Forget it. You'll never finish. The strategy there is ruthless efficiency. Speed reading techniques are non-negotiable. We'll get into those specifics later.
So if I'm starting out, you're saying don't grab the giant grammar textbook first.
Absolutely not. First step, study the official format. Get sample tests, even if you feel you'll do badly at first.
Just to see it.
Exactly. Read the instructions for every single question type. Is it gap fill, matching headings, how many words? Get comfortable with the look and feel the mechanics.
Removing the surprise element.
It's huge. Knowing how you'll be tested reduces anxiety massively on the day.
Okay, that makes sense. Strategic familiarity first. But what about the nerves? The stress in the exam room. That can wreck even the best preparation.
And that leads straight into the second pillar, mindset. You absolutely cannot underestimate this.
Confidence is half the battle.
Or maybe more. The guide is very direct. Nervousness, self-doubt, they instantly drop your performance, maybe by a whole band score.
Why? What happens physiologically?
Your brain just can't access information properly when it's flooded with stress hormones like cortisol. Panic literally shuts down higher thinking.
We all know intellectually stay calm, but how do you do that when your heart is pounding?
Well, you have to train for it, just like you train vocabulary. You need actual physical techniques.
Like what?
Things like practicing deep breathing. Box breathing is a good one. Inhale for 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. Repeat.
Okay.
Simple physical stretches before you go in, or even discreetly at your desk. And visualization. That's key.
Visualizing success.
But specifically, not just wishing for a good score, visualize the process.
How does that work?
You picture the listening audio starting. You see yourself calmly tracking, noting down answers. You imagine looking at a tough reading passage, and immediately spotting the main idea.
So you're rehearsing the feeling of control.
Precisely. And it helps reframe the goal. You're not aiming for some impossible standard of perfect English. That just creates anxiety.
Right.
Your goal is to demonstrate effective communication within the test's rules. It takes the pressure off being perfect. Let your actual skills come through.
So treat it like an operation. Requires efficiency, calm execution, not a judgment on your soul.
Exactly. Get that mindset right, and you've built a solid platform before you even tackle the content.
Okay, let's shift gears to vocabulary. This is where people spend ages, right? Memorizing lists.
Huge amounts of time, and often very inefficiently, because they're using the wrong approach.
The big misconception being you need thousands of really obscure, fancy words.
That's the classic trap.
Yep.
The bigger the word, the better the score.
Yeah.
It's almost guaranteed to backfire.
Why? What does IELTS actually reward?
It rewards natural vocabulary, language that's accurate, appropriate for the context, and used fluently. They're not impressed by someone swallowing a dictionary.
They want to see control, not just showing off.
Exactly. Control and accuracy. Let's take an example. Say you're writing about pollution.
Right.
A student trying too hard might write something like, the concomitant augmentation of anthropogenic effluent is causing environmental degradation.
Whoa. Okay, big words.
Big words, yes. But it sounds incredibly stiff, maybe even slightly wrong, and totally unnatural. An examiner sees that and flags it.
So what would a high-scoring version sound like?
Something clearer, more controlled-like. The significant increase in human-made waste is substantially damaging the environment.
Ah, okay. Still good words, significant, substantially human-made waste, but they fit.
Right. He uses strong adjectives and adverbs correctly. He shows control over precise but natural language. Accuracy and flow always beat obscure words used badly.
So the whole strategy needs to shift, away from random lists.
Completely. Shift towards relevance and usability. The most effective way is to learn vocabulary grouped by common IELTS topics.
Which are?
The test reliably cycles through a few core areas. Think: the environment, education, technology, and health. Those are the big four.
Why those specifically?
Well, they're universal topics. They allow for complex opinions, which you need for writing task 2 and speaking part 3.
And they require some specific vocabulary.
Exactly. If you really nail the language for these 4 areas, you're probably prepared for, say, 70% of the topics you might encounter.
Okay, let's get practical. If I'm studying vocabulary for education, what kind of phrases should I be collecting? Not just single words.
Right. Focus on collocations and useful phrases. Instead of just learning good for online school, aim for something like, one major advantage of online learning is its flexibility.
Okay, major advantage, flexibility.
Which allows students to pursue continuous professional development. See, you've got topic-specific terms like professional development linked naturally.
It shows you can build arguments.
Precisely. Or for the environment instead of stop climate change, you might have. Climate change has a significant impact on vulnerable populations globally.
Significant impact.
Yeah.
Vulnerable populations got it. Building blocks of language.
Exactly. These chunks demonstrate control over complex ideas much more effectively than one random big word.
So how do you actually learn these so you can use them under pressure, not just recognize them?
The method has to be active. Passive reading of lists won't cut it. We strongly recommend personalized active tools.
Like flashcards, apps.
Flashcards can work. Apps like Quizlet are good. But probably the most powerful tool is a dedicated notebook or maybe a digital document.
A personal vocabulary log. What goes in it?
3 things for every new word or phrase.
What?
1, the word phrase itself. 2, a simple definition in your own words.
Yeah.
And 3, this is critical, a complete example sentence that you write yourself and try to link it to an IELTS topic.
So if I learn infrastructure...
Don't just write, the city has infrastructure. Write something like, the government needs to invest more in digital infrastructure to support remote education.
Ah, so you're embedding it in a relevant context immediately.
Exactly. It moves the word from passive recognition, just understanding it when you see it, to active production capability. Makes it far more likely you'll actually use it correctly in the exam.
So the big shift, depth over breadth. Relevant, integrated vocabulary, not just volume.
That's the smarter way. The strategic use of your limited study time.
All right, let's move to the output skills. Speaking and writing. This is where you have to create something yourself, under pressure. Often the scariest parts for people.
Very common, yes. Let's start with speaking. The guide really hammers this home. Practice must be consistent, and critically, it must be out loud.
Not just thinking the answers in your head.
No, running through it silently in your mind while you're walking around, it just doesn't work. Doesn't prepare you.
Why the emphasis on speaking aloud?
You need to build the physical habit, the muscle memory, and you need the auditory feedback loop.
Hearing yourself speak.
Yes. The speaking test isn't judging your thoughts. It's judging your spoken. Communication, fluency, pronunciation under pressure. Your mouth, your breathing, your pacing, they all need practice actually producing the sounds.
So, how do you practice effectively? The guide mentions some simple tools.
Simple but powerful because they simulate the real thing. Finding a speaking partner is great, obviously.
But not always easy to arrange.
True. So the most accessible tool, your phone. Use the voice recorder, that's your mock examiner.
Okay, how should someone use that? Just ramble.
No, be structured. Find official IELTS speaking questions online. They're everywhere. Pick a Part 2 topic card, like describe a place you'd like to visit.
Right.
Set a timer for 1 minute to prep, then record yourself speaking for the full 2 minutes, just like in the test.
Okay, record yourself, but the real learning isn't in the recording itself, is it?
Exactly. The magic happens in the next step. The self-correction loop. You have to listen back.
Critically.
Yes. Listen like an examiner. What are you listening for? 4 main things.
Right.
1, grammar. Are you making basic mistakes? Tenses, agreements. 2, pronunciation. Is it clear? Are you mumbling words? 3, fluency and coherence. Are there long, awkward pauses? Are you using linking words like however, also, as a result to connect ideas smoothly?
And the 4th.
Vocabulary. Did you use those topic-specific words you learned? Did they sound natural or forced and maybe wrong?
And the point isn't to be perfect in one go.
Not at all. The point is progress. Listen back. Identify one specific thing to improve. Maybe you kept saying, or you misused a tense. Focus on fixing just that one thing in your next practice recording.
Small steps.
Daily. It compounds incredibly fast. Fix one recurring error, smooth out one awkward transition each day. You'll see a huge difference in a month.
Okay, that's speaking. Now, writing. You said this is where many people really lose marks. Why?
Often it's down to structure and clarity, or rather the lack of it. Examiners aren't primarily looking for groundbreaking ideas.
They're looking for organization.
Yes, logical flow, clear arguments, and meeting the specific requirements of the task. That's what gets the high marks.
So let's talk blueprints. Task 2 first, the essay. It's worth more points. What's the non-negotiable plan?
First 5 minutes.
Okay.
Plan, always. Make an outline. If you just start writing, you'll almost certainly end up rambling or getting disorganized.
5 minutes for an outline. Then what's the structure?
A standard, robust 4-paragraph structure is usually best.
Which is?
1. Introduction. Briefly paraphrase the question and clearly state your main position, your thesis. 2. Body paragraph 1. Present your main argument and, crucially, back it up with specific examples or details.
Examples are key.
Absolutely. 3. Body paragraph 2. Develop a second point, or perhaps explore a contrasting idea, again with specific support. 4. Conclusion. Briefly sum up your main points and restate your overall position in different words.
That focus on examples in the body paragraphs, that's what lifts the score.
Definitely. It moves you from making general statements to providing actual evidence. A good body paragraph usually has a clear topic sentence stating the main idea.
Then explain it.
Explain it, elaborate. And then provide a real concrete example or reason. If you're talking about, say, city traffic, don't just say it wastes time. Say something like, for instance, studies in major cities show that traffic congestion can add up to an hour to the average daily commute, impacting productivity. Specificity makes it credible.
Makes the examiner's job easy. They see the point. They see the support.
Exactly. Now, task 1. For academic IELTS, that's usually describing charts, graphs, tables, diagrams.
What's the key skill there? Not just listing data.
Right. The key is comparison and identifying main trends. You need to synthesize the information, not just report every number.
And how do you show that comparison effectively?
This is where sophisticated linking words are vital. You need to actively use words like whereas, while in contrast, similarly. However,
give me an example.
Sales of product A rose sharply in the first quarter, whereas sales of product B remained relatively stable during the same period. Or the graph shows a significant increase overall, although there was a slight dip in August. You're highlighting relationships in the data.
Got it. Synthesis, not just description.
Now, one last thing on writing. The big temptation. Memorized essays.
Oh, the ultimate trap. Examiners are trained to spot these. They see instantly if the language is too generic, too formal, Hasn't quite fit the specific question.
And they penalize it.
Heavily, because it shows you can't produce relevant language spontaneously. It defeats the purpose of the test. So the strategy isn't memorize essays, but maybe memorize useful structures and phrases.
Exactly. Memorize flexible linking phrases, useful sentence starters, topic-specific vocabulary chunks, things you can adapt and weave into your own genuine answer to the question asked.
So train the ability to think on your feet, but within a solid structure.
That's the key. Adaptability within a proven framework.
Okay, we've covered the output skills, speaking and writing. Now let's tackle the input skills, reading and listening. These seem to be more about speed and accuracy under pressure.
Definitely. Efficiency is the name of the game here. Let's start with reading. And we have to repeat this. Speed is everything. You simply do not have time to read every single word.
That 60-minute limit for potentially 3 long texts and 40 questions, it's tight.
Extremely tight. So you need a strategic approach. Think like a detective hunting for clues, not someone leisurely reading a novel.
And the core techniques for this detective work?
2 fundamental skills you have to master. Skimming and scanning. They work together.
Okay, skimming first. What is it exactly?
Skimming is reading very quickly just to get the main idea, the gist of a paragraph or the whole passage. You should be able to skim a standard passage in, say, under a minute.
How? What do you focus on?
You read the title, any headings or subheadings. Read the introduction carefully and the conclusion carefully. Then for the body paragraphs, focus only on the first sentence and maybe the last sentence.
Topic sentences.
Usually, yes. They give you the main point of each paragraph.
Yeah.
Skimming gives you a mental map of the text, what each part is generally about.
Okay, so you've got the map. Then scanning.
Scanning is how you find the specific answers. Once you read a question and identify the key word, maybe it's a name, a date, a specific term, you let your eyes sweep rapidly across the text, looking only for that specific word or number or something that looks like it. You're not reading for meaning at this stage, you're just pattern matching.
Searching for the visual shape of the word?
Exactly. It drastically cuts down the time spent hunting for the information needed to answer the question.
Now, here's where it gets tricky, right? The guide talks about the synonym strategy. This trips a lot of people up.
It's absolutely critical. IELTS deliberately tests your vocabulary range by not using the exact same words in the question in the passage. They use synonyms or paraphrasing.
So if the question asks about children,
The passage might talk about youngsters, minors, infants, or juveniles. You have to be ready for that.
can you give another example?
Sure. If the question mentions the advantages of something, the text might discuss the benefits, positive aspects, or merits. If the question asks about the causes of a problem, the text might refer to the reasons, factors, or origins.
So you need to train your brain. When you see a keyword in the question, immediately think for related words.
Yes, your internal dictionary needs to activate that whole family of meanings. If you're only scanning for the exact word from the question, you'll often miss the answer completely.
Okay, that's a vital skill to practice. And for all this practice, skimming, scanning, synonyms, the materials matter, right?
Hugely. Source authenticity is non-negotiable. You must use official IELTS materials.
Where do you find those?
The official IELTS website, IELTS.org, has resources. And crucially, the Cambridge University Press official IELTS practice materials books, series 1 through, well, whatever the latest number is.
Why only those?
Because they are the only ones guaranteed to accurately reflect the difficulty, the style, the question types, and the nuances of the real test. Using unofficial materials can actually teach you bad habits or give you a false sense of security or difficulty.
Stick to the real deal. Got it. Okay, let's switch to listening. We know focus is key. You only hear it once. How do you train your ear for that sustained concentration and quick processing?
It needs a daily routine, and variety is important to get used to different accents, speeds, and topics.
So what kind of things do people listen to?
Lots of options. English language podcasts on academic or current affairs topics are great. Short news clips like from the BBC or CNN. TED Talks are excellent for structure and vocabulary.
Specific learning resources, too.
Yes. Things like BBC Learning English have dedicated materials. Even English audiobooks can be good, especially for building listening stamina over longer periods.
But the guide warns against just having it on in the background.
Right.
Passive listening.
Enjoyable? Maybe, but it won't significantly improve your score. The listening practice must be active.
What does active listening involve?
2 main things. First, practice taking notes while you listen. Mimic the exam conditions. Try to quickly jot down keywords, names, dates, numbers, anticipate the kind of information needed for gap-fill questions.
Get used to listening and writing simultaneously.
Exactly. Second, engage in mimicry. Hear a phrase you like or one that's pronounced clearly. Pause and repeat it. Try to copy the intonation, the rhythm.
And that helps more than just listening.
Oh, definitely. That mimicry has a double benefit. It sharpens your listening comprehension because you're focusing intensely on the sounds.
Yeah.
And it directly improves your own pronunciation and speaking fluency. You're absorbing natural speech patterns. It's a really efficient way to improve both skills at once.
Okay, so we've got the strategies, the skills practice. Now we need to talk about putting it all together under exam conditions, operational execution.
And this is where many well-prepared students still stumble. The guide calls time management the silent killer.
How so?
Because you can know the answer, you can have the vocabulary, the grammar, but if you run out of time before you write it down or before you finish that crucial Task 2 essay, the knowledge counts for nothing. Points lost.
Mismanaging time negates all the other prep.
Absolutely. So the only way to combat this is through rigorous practice under strict, timed conditions. No cheating, just 5 more minutes.
Every practice session for reading and writing needs a timer.
Every single one. 60 minutes for reading, 60 for writing. Split appropriately between task 1 and 2. Practice listening sections with the audio playing continuously. You need to internalize the pace required. Feel what 60 minutes actually allows you to do.
And this leads to maybe the most demanding piece of advice, the full mock test.
Yes. The recommendation is firm. You need to take complete mock tests. All 4 sections. Listening, reading, writing, speaking, back-to-back in one sitting.
How often?
At least once a week, especially the final month or so before your actual test date.
Wow, that sounds exhausting. Listening, then reading, then writing. That's nearly 3 hours straight. What's the specific benefit of that ordeal?
Stamina. Mental endurance. The real IELTS isn't just a test of English, it's a test of sustained concentration.
Right, because you don't do the sections fresh in the real test.
Exactly. If you only practice sections individually, your brain is fresh for each one. But in the real exam, you hit that demanding writing section after you've already battled through an hour of intense listening and an hour of fast-paced writing.
You're tired by then?
You're fatigued. Taking full mock tests trains your brain to perform under that cumulative pressure. It helps you learn how to pace yourself across the entire exam so you still have mental energy left for writing task 2 at the end.
Builds the endurance needed. Okay, so you do the practice, you do the mocks, but then comes the analysis, the post-test review.
And this is the step people are most likely to skip. Maybe they feel discouraged after seeing their mistakes.
Yeah, it's tough to face the errors.
But it's absolutely vital. This review is the engine of improvement. You can't just mark things wrong and move on. You need a deep dive into why you made each mistake.
So not just, oops, got that wrong, but why did I get that wrong?
Precisely. You need to categorize the error. Was it a knowledge gap? Like you genuinely didn't know that vocabulary word or that grammar rule.
Okay.
Or was it a comprehension error? Maybe in reading you understood the words but missed the main idea, or you didn't spot the synonym.
Right.
Or was it a careless mistake? You knew the answer but wrote it down wrong or misread the question.
You know, the big one.
Or was it a timing issue? You knew how to do it, but you spent too long on an earlier question and had to rush, or you didn't finish.
And identifying the type of error tells you what to fix.
Exactly. If most errors are knowledge gaps, you need more vocabulary or grammar study. If they're comprehension errors, you need to practice specific reading or listening strategies like the synonym technique. If it's timing,
then your next practice needs to focus ruthlessly on speed and efficiency under timed conditions.
Correct. That detailed analysis is the only way to ensure you don't keep making the same mistakes. It fuels targeted, effective learning. That's operational excellence.
We talked about mindset earlier, but it seems so crucial. Let's maybe revisit it with a bit more depth, because all the strategy in the world doesn't help if you freeze up.
It's fundamental. The guide almost treats confidence not just as a feeling, but as a result of targeted preparation. It's something you build.
Right. It's the bridge between knowing the stuff and actually being able to use it under pressure. Nerves can just shut that down.
Instantly. So the preparation has to include specific mental and even physical readiness techniques. It's as important as drilling grammar.
So those practical tactics again, managing the physical symptoms of stress.
Yes. Before you even leave the house on test day, take 5 minutes. Deep breathing, maybe guided meditation if that works for you. Gentle stretches neck, shoulders release physical tension.
And then in the test room itself,
Use those few moments before the clock starts. Don't just sit there worrying. Consciously do that box breathing or just slow, deep breaths. You're actively calming your nervous system, telling your body, okay, I'm in control here.
and the visualization part, keep running those mental movies.
Absolutely. Make it feel familiar, routine. Instead of dreading the speaking examiner, picture yourself calmly answering that first question, maybe using a phrase you practiced. See yourself moving smoothly through the reading passage, finding the answers. Picture your pen writing the essay, following your outline.
Making the unknown feel known.
Exactly. It reduces the fear factor. And remember that big reframe we talked about.
Not aiming for perfection.
Right. IELTS isn't testing if you're a perfect native level speaker. That's an unrealistic, anxiety-fueling goal for most people.
So what is the goal?
The goal, based on the actual scoring criteria, is to demonstrate effective communication. Can you understand? Can you make yourself understood clearly, coherently, appropriately for the context? That's achievable.
It's a performance standard, not a judgment.
Exactly. So consistent effort using the right techniques, plus that calm operational mindset, makes a high score not just a dream, but a much more predictable outcome of smart preparation. #tag outro.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive on maximizing your IELTS score. Let's just quickly recap the core pillars we've covered.
Right. It starts with understanding the test itself strategy first.
Then building vocabulary that's natural, relevant to the key topics, not just obscure.
Active practice for speaking and writing out loud, self-correcting, focusing on structure and clarity.
Mastering efficiency in reading and listening through techniques like skimming, scanning, and spotting synonyms.
And underpinning it all, operational excellence, strict time management and practice, full mock tests for stamina.
And that crucial post-test analysis to drive improvement.
It's a very actionable approach. The encouraging thing is, effort directed using these strategies really does pay off. You move from just studying English to strategically preparing for this specific test.
Definitely. But let's leave everyone with a final thought, something maybe to take beyond just IELTS prep.
Okay.
We've seen the test demands these very specific skills. That intense, single-shot listening focus, rapid skimming and scanning of information, structured, evidence-based writing on a deadline, and coherent speaking under pressure.
They are quite specific skills honed by the test format.
Now think about it. Aren't those skills focused listening, efficient information processing, structured communication, clear articulation, aren't they almost a blueprint for effective communication in any high-pressure environment? Academia, professional life?
That's a really interesting point. The very things you train for IELTS, yeah, they translate directly. That ability to quickly grasp the core of a report, structure an email logically, listen intently in a meeting.
So the final question for you, the listener, how can you start integrating these operational techniques? The focused listening, the quick scanning, the 5-minute planning before writing, the conscious effort towards clearer speaking into your daily work or study habits, starting now.
Don't just see it as test prep. See it as upgrading your fundamental communication toolkit for life beyond the exam.
A powerful thought. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
See you next time.